I'm Dan Woodhouse. I'm a minister presbyter in the Leeds South and West Circuit. So one of my churches is Hyde Park Methodist Church. It's kind of quite a poor area that it sits in. So we have a community shop, for example, which gives cheap clothes to people who really need them. And then the money that's made from that supports other things that we do in the community, particularly our youth groups. There's the Bible study, which happens every couple of weeks, and that's really an opportunity for people in the congregation to come and dig more into Scripture, into faith. So there's a huge amount of a variety of things that I do in my job, and some things are really deep and meaningful and serious, being with people when they're bereaved and making a difference in that moment, to things like going to kids' parties or reading bedtime stories or whatever it may be. It's what I find really exciting. I was doing a degree in diagnostic radiography, and I felt convinced while I was doing it, even though I was enjoying it and getting on fine, that I should be doing something else in life, and I couldn't really work out what that was. But I felt compelled to quit my degree partway through, to my parents' horror, and then I ended up working for a Methodist church, and people said to me, "Oh, so you're going to be a minister?" And I would kind of say, "No, that's the worst thing that could happen. It seems like the most awful thing that I could possibly do for my life. How boring does that seem?" And but I continued to work and realised what a minister was, and it was around that time that I started to think, actually, maybe I'm called to this. If there was one moment, it was when I was sat in a church where somebody got up on stage who I've never met, never spoken to before, and haven't seen since, who just said, "I think there's somebody here who is struggling with being colourblind." Well, that's not really the problem. The problem is that there's something else going on in their life and they're trying to make a decision, and I really feel that person could do with some prayer this evening, which kind of, I don't really speak to people about my being colourblind. I hadn't really spoken to anyone about this wrestling much, so that kind of blew me away. And so it gave me the confidence that God was in this. In the church, I saw a lot of loneliness. I saw, a lot of isolation. We have that in our society generally, and I always thought the church should just deal with that without really thinking about it, and it didn't, and it hasn't done. And so it was at that point where I started thinking, actually, I think I've got a real call to bring people together. And so as I started thinking about this stuff and praying and exploring the world and reading different things, more and more I saw the opportunity to do what I felt I was being called to do through the ministry. Another important aspect to my ministry is my activism. I feel like I kind of grew in my faith and then in my calling into ministry, whilst also growing into activism. I've taken direct action on a few occasions. The second time I was arrested was for breaking into BAE Systems Warton in Lancashire, where they were building planes for the Saudi Air Force, which would be committing war crimes in Yemen. Twice I've been arrested for doing this, and actually twice I've been acquitted, which shows actually there's justice to be found in our society. And we've got to remember that Jesus was arrested and crucified, not just for saying a few nice things, but for actively challenging the unjust powers that he saw in the world that he was in. I don't think necessarily Christians should always be looking to be physically turning tables and so on, but they should always be ready to kind of stand in the way of people who are causing injustice. I think downtime is really important. It can be really difficult to switch off as a minister. You need to learn how to not feel guilty, because there's always more stuff you can be doing. If you feel like you've got a calling, you should definitely explore it. Talk to people about it, and maybe spend a little bit of time working alongside a minister to get an idea of what it's like to do things day to day. Sometimes it can be really scary, but when it's good, it's absolutely amazing.